I just had the chance to interview Joe De Sena. He's an author, entrepreneur, and founder of Spartan Race, and he's also an Orlando resident. We talk all things community and building Orlando and what it takes to be a great leader in 2025. I hope you enjoy. Joe, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Man, for sure. Someone's never heard of a Spartan Race before. What is it? How do you describe it?
Military grade, I would say. It's a military-inspired obstacle course, so just like something we would see on TV or in a movie. No one's going to remember Rambo. They're too young, but you remember. So, it's outdoors. Hopefully there's bad weather. You're climbing, crawling, jumping, and fighting through, and probably doing the hardest thing you've ever done in your life. And in that process, during that process, you change your perspective. That's the business we're in. We change perspectives.
Oh, what's possible? What is it that I can actually do?
What's possible? Your life's not that bad because this sucks what you're going through.
Sure.
The things that you used to take for granted, you no longer take. Oh my God, my bed feels so good. I was complaining I might need a new mattress.
Yeah.
You will now sleep on a gravel driveway and it feels good.
Yeah.
Right?
Love that. And so talk to me about there's a Tough Mudder at one time. I know when I was in high school and college, all my friends were doing that.
Yep.
You guys acquired them in 2020, was it?
2020.
And so how are those different, Spartan and Tough Mudder?
I would say Tough Mudder is a little more of a team-based challenge. And there's things in a Tough Mudder that you're going to face that you wouldn't necessarily see in the military. Military is not going to electrocute you. In Tough Mudder, we will electrocute you, right? So it's a little more wild what you're going through, but it's in good fun.
Yeah.
And it gets people outside their comfort zone.
So 2020 happened. Obviously, the world kind of shut down.
Yep.
I'm guessing events were a little bit tough. Did that give you the opportunity to step in and say, "Hey, we're going to combine these along the way"?
Basically, but one caveat: it was not a little tough. It was the hardest thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Oh my God. Unpack that.
Yeah, we were shut down globally for 2 years. Basically, it cost us nearly $100 million, and that we didn't have, and. For all intents and purposes, we should have gone extinct like the dinosaur, but because we're stupid and we're relentless and durable, we just hung in there, and here we are.
Yeah. I feel like with all AI and all these other kind of things going on right now, I've heard from so many people that it's like, hey, we lived online for so long that we're kind of tired of it. We actually want to go more community-based, events-based. Are you seeing more people start to get involved?
Huge tailwind right now. I've been doing this for 25 years, and I've never had a tailwind like we have now.
Yeah.
So it's great. I mean, people are looking to go on ice plunges in the morning at a coffee club, right?
Yeah.
Or they're joining run clubs. I think we're so addicted to these devices that we want a little escapism from it.
To reality.
To reality,
yeah.
right? We're not in an office anymore as much as we used to be, where we had that community. We're seeking that. We don't go to church, no matter what denomination, as much as we used to. So we're seeking that. So we check a lot of boxes, and we give a great reason for a tattoo.
I love that, man. When you lived in Orlando, when did that happen?
So during the pandemic, people fled our office in Boston, our global headquarters in Boston, and trying to get people back was challenging. And I was talking to a friend of mine about a company in Ohio, and they never stopped coming to the office. And it really blew my mind, and it frustrated me that I could not get anybody back who was working from a sailboat, who bought a house on the water, who was... And so I started to look around the country and say, all right, where can we reopen an office where people would be open-minded to it? And Florida stuck.
Yeah.
It also did not hurt. Randomly, I found arguably the number one wrestling program in the country down here for my boys.
Yeah.
A great soccer program for the girls. Great school. Met the people that own Lake Nona. So it was like there was a whole bunch of things that happened. I'm very embarrassed when I tell anybody in the world that we're living in Orlando right now, because it's tied to Mickey and Minnie.
Sure.
But because this whole thing was born on a farm in Vermont, but it is what it is. We're here and we love it.
Yeah. So how's your perception changed? I mean, you come here, finally put your roots down. You did it for the kids. It sounds like for the family, which is a great reason. What's your perception been over the past 5 years or so?
Well, it's funny, right? Because most people only know Orlando, myself included, as the place where Mickey and Minnie, right? Universal Studios. It's very commercial, to say the least. When you go on iDrive, and you probably went there once or twice in your life, it's not a place you'd want to live. But then you see these other areas in and around Orlando, and you're like, oh, wow, that's a pretty nice, it feels a little New England, like there's some nice
Park
pockets.
Ave and like that kind of thing, yeah.
And then when I found the Lucky Lake Swim, then I was like, oh, swimming with alligators. This is like, you can't like.
Brings a little bit more badassery when you're
Yeah,
worried about
in
snakes
Vermont
and
I get to chop wood with bears.
Yeah.
In Orlando I get to swim with alligators.
I love that. This episode of the Orlando Real Podcast is brought to you by the Pozek Group, our real estate team here in Orlando. We've got over 1,700 five-star reviews. So when the time comes to sell or buy a house anywhere in Central Florida, reach out to us at theorlandoreal.com/YouTube to get started. One of our missions is to help kind of change the perception of Orlando and help it reach its fullest potential. Because I think we're honestly playing small, like because we lean back so hard on theme parks, but they have the biggest university right down the road at UCF. You've got a lot of really cool people doing a lot of cool things, and yet all we ever hear about is the theme parks. Yep. And so if somebody like myself or anybody wanted to create a better community, like you've done such a great job building up Spartan into a community. When I talk about it, like you're like legend to people, right? How do you do that for like a community, for a city, do you think?
You know what's wild about that question is I got summoned to Japan once to meet with the sumo wrestlers.
Okay.
And they wanted me to solve their problem. Like how do they go big like Spartan did with sumo? So it's funny now to be having this conversation about Orlando. Look, I think there's a lot of pockets, like we just said, there's a lot of things in Orlando that we don't know. So I could see a campaign, a global campaign, this just popped in my head, it might be terrible, around all the things, don't come to Orlando for ... and then fill in the swim with the alligators. I think I need to know that as a consumer that did not live here. I need to know all the things, and then taunt me a little bit with the don't come to Orlando for this, right? And I stayed near Rollins that first time I was here, Rollins College. There's a great hotel over there. I forget the name of it. Rollins owns it. It's like a 1920s Alfond Inn. And just walking in the lobby of that hotel blew my mind because I was like, I would have no idea that something like this would be here.
Yeah.
And then that campus, and I was like, oh, this has been around since the 1920s. Like, oh, and there's brick roads. Like, why are there brick roads in Orlando? Like, and there's trees that are tall and like been here. So you just need to unfold that for the people that live in New England or anywhere in the world. And then the other thing I would do is, you have 75 million of people a year coming in. You've got to somehow siphon some of them away from the theme park for an hour, right? And they got to go do something cool and just get a taste so that when they go home, they're talking about these other things in Orlando. Because now Miami is like a joke, right? Like Miami is like ridiculous,
the amount of people moving from Miami here because they're like, I moved to Florida, I like the Florida vibe. Miami's not it for me, so then they discover Orlando because it's close, and we're growing like crazy. The biggest people moving here are from Florida, and that was different than the pandemic, right? And I think I agree. I think it is showing off to the rest of the world that we are so much more.
And these cool things. And then the third piece is I would build pockets of what we do at Spartan. So around, if you don't know, the Lucky Lake Swim, I got turned on to. Actually, at a lunch I was here, somebody had said, "Hey Joe, did you ever do?" What's the Lucky Lake Swim? Oh, you swim this thing with alligators. This guy. There's 20 things like that exist already in Orlando, or could easily be organized by somebody like me that puts on races, whatever, right? And you got to make it a thing. And whether it's once a week, once a month, or whatever, but lots of people have to come. Like there are run clubs now that I see in Winter Park over in Ivanhoe. That are as big, they look like they're as big as some of my events. I mean, it's unbelievable. They're blocking traffic, like it's crazy. And they're all young people.
Exactly.
And so you got to lean into that.
I totally agree. We did this white paper last year. We hired a whole research team around why people would or wouldn't move to Orlando, and then if you live here already, why would you leave? And we siphoned like 1,000 people to respond, and the number one thing that said why they would leave is that they feel like they can't plug into community. And like the community is like kind of this buzzword now, but I think you're absolutely right. There's a lot of cool stuff like that, and that needs to be the story.
There's 50 of them. I've said the Lucky Lake Swim 20 times. I apologize, but like. There's 50 of those things that you. It just has to become a thing. Yeah.
Love that. Talk to us a little bit about. I watch your content. I have for years, man, and I love the brand and everything that you're building.
Thank you.
You talk a lot about fatherhood and raising kids, and that obviously speaks to me as a father. Some of those lessons you've learned along the way, like how do you take fatherhood and who you are as a dad and relate that to leadership and growing this global brand that you have?
So first off, a couple of things. As a dad like you or myself, we have no idea what we're talking about because we don't know what
Sure.
right. It's not like we've done it before
Sure,
and launched some kids. My wife was afraid when we wrote a book on parenting. She's like, there are examples throughout history where people write books on parenting and then it's a disaster,
Sure.
right? So
their kids come out and say like total
yeah,
assholes.
like so you just don't know. But when I was very young, pre-teens, I started a swimming pool service business. You would appreciate it being in Florida. I had 700 customers. And so imagine being a preteen for 10 plus years, and I became friends with 700 families. Because I was this little kid, I was a hard worker, they would let me in their house, I could sleep over, whatever, like 700 houses. So I watched those families develop their kids.
Yeah.
I saw the ones that went to jail. I saw the ones that did really well financially, that got divorced. Like I saw it all.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know it. I was putting away all these notes in my head. And at least I determined from that experience, it's not about building friendships with the kids. It's not. It's about launching them into adulthood. And so that means you're not going to be their friend all the time. Like, here's the deal. Here are the standards. We don't compromise. That's not a fun place to live. That's not a fun place to be. But whether you're an organization or a family or a government, like, you make these little compromises along the way. Like, all right, let me just give them the phone or whatever to shut them up. Or let me just give them a lollipop. Or you know what, you can stay up late. Or you don't have to finish that commitment you made in soccer, whatever it is. And those little compromises, if you're talking about, let's talk about a place like Norwich University. Norwich University, the oldest private military school in the country. I gave a talk there to them and their board, and they made a lot of little compromises along the way. And then you wake up 20, 30, 50 years later, and it's like not the institution that you set out to build.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with kids and families, right? Like, you wake up when they're 20. You know how many super wealthy families call me? Just happened last week. Like, ridiculously wealthy families have a 20-something-year-old, and they need some help with a kid. And I'm like, it's not the kid.
Yeah.
It's you. Right? Are you committed? If we're going to do this and we're going to give it a shot and see if we could turn this kid, are you committed that when you receive the call 3 days into being with me, says, get me the hell away from this guy, he's crazy, that you don't take the call, and you let us work through it? And 5 times out of 10, they don't even call back because they're not ready for that. So you as a dad, you as a mom, you've got to recognize that you're not always going to be, the most well-liked person in the house or in the neighborhood or whatever,
and that's got to be okay.
That's got to be okay. That's the deal.
Heck yeah. So from a leadership perspective, if we're going into, mayor just announced 25 years, he was mayor, now he's out. We've got a new mayor coming, and that's probably going to set the tone for who we become as a region. What's advice that you would give to that person coming in to help make those changes to go in the right direction?
Listen, look, you set the stand. You're going to make a plan. You're going to be right about some things. You're going to be wrong about some things. But and it's okay to adjust along the way. There's going to be a lot of people that squawk and scream, and you can't satisfy everybody.
Yeah.
And make sure everybody understands what the plan is, and then you make sure they adhere to it, because that's the deal. And you'll piss off some people, but this is the plan. This is what we're doing.
We're making good kids, not jerks. Yeah. So you've got a huge event coming up in November. How many people are coming?
6,500-ish now, maybe 7,000.
Is that average for your events, or how?
It's average, but for a first-time event, it's incredible.
And it's the first time you're doing a para
championship down here, which is amazing.
Yeah. Yep. And so what does that pair? What's the difference there?
Well, so folks will come in on Sunday, and they're operating. They're adaptive athletes. They're operating wheelchairs, et cetera. And so they're gonna compete at a world championship down here, which is incredible.
Man, I'm so excited. Thanks for everything you do for the community and for giving back to what you have.
My pleasure. Thanks for having alligators.
You got it. Thanks, guys.